This past weekend, World Athletics came up with their standards for the 2023 World Championship, and people are pissed. But this was World Athletics' goal all along. This past year, World Athletics announced that their goal is to have a 50-50 split when it comes to qualifying for both the Olympics and the World Championships. They say they want to have a 50-50 split of people that qualify based off of standard as well as based off of world ranking. So this means that the world standards are going to continue to increase so they can reach that split. For example, let's take a look at the men's 100. For the men's 100, they have 56 athletes that qualify. So that means to have a 50-50 split, you would need 25 athletes to qualify based off of world ranking and 25 athletes to qualify based on world standard. They currently just moved the number 10.00. And if we take a look at this previous year's rankings, there are 30 athletes that qualified or reached a 10.00 this calendar year, which means they're pretty close right now with having a 50-50 split. Now, a lot of people are up in arms because there's not much knowledge on how athletes qualify based on world ranking. The standard is simple. If you run the time that you have to run, you make the team. World rankings is not like that. World rankings is based off of your results, your placement, and the tier of the meet. So not only do you have to run fast, you also have to place high, and you have to do it at the right meet. Now, what are the right meets, you might ask? Well, there are multiple tiers for how a meet gets qualified. There are tier A, B, C, D, E, and F. A tier would be your major senior championships that you can have, and each nation is able to have one national senior championship hit the standard. Then they progressively go down, so whether it be other Diamond League events, you would see other Continental Tour events, you'd see national championships for the college, and then other meets that are continuing to go lower and lower. So what they're trying to do is not only allow athletes to just run one race, have a good time, and then not run the rest of the year. They want athletes to compete more and compete in the events that they want them to compete in. So it's forcing these professional athletes to compete more in these events that the World Athletics deems as more important. A lot of athletes that are at least in the United States are going to have to be going more to meets that are overseas, as many of these meets are competed in Europe, Asia, or Africa. So we're going to be seeing a lot less of the athletes that you may know and love here in the United States, as they're going to be competing more in Europe in order to hit these standards, because the regular entry standards have gone to being pretty insanely high. They're looking to get that number to be right around that 30 or 28 mark. So for C, there will be more increases of the World Championship standard, because they're trying to make it more of that 50-50 split. And all of them right now are hovering right around that 35 range. That means, like we said, athletes are gonna have to focus more on world rankings. So they're trying to get athletes to compete more, which I'm a fan of. I think that athletes should be competing more and more consistently. I would like for there to be a consistent schedule that athletes know they are going to be in, so fans can know when their favorite athletes will be running. What I'm not a fan of is the fact that many of these meets are not here in the United States. So what I would hope for is not to change the system so that these meets that are in Europe are getting worse. I think we need to make there be a better product here in the United States. This affects the college athletes and the professional athletes very, very differently. If you're a professional athlete, it's a lot easier to go over to Europe or to go over to these Continental Tour or the Diamond League meets, because that's what your job is. You're competing in these competitions because you have this flexibility. You can compete in the meet you qualify in, and it's simple as that. For a college athlete, that's not really the case. So this hurts college athletes significantly. Like, this makes it so much more difficult for college athletes to compete, because if you look at the tier ranks that all of the college meets are, they're very, very low. So the SEC Championship, that's gonna be an F tier meet. Why? Because it's only college athletes that can compete in it. The anti-doping is very different in college than it is for the professionals. So that's why that tier meet is so much worse, even though the quality of that competition is going to be significantly higher than many of these professional meets that are going on, which is very strange to me, because it's not, the tiering is not based off of the competition of the meet or the competition of the event. It's just based off of what World Athletics deems as being an important race. So for example, you can have a stacked 100-meter final in the SEC Championship. It can be everyone in that final is running sub 10. but it doesn't qualify as the same as a continental tour, which might have people running a 10-1 or 10-2 in there because World Athletics deemed that that is a higher tier than an NCAA meet. And so it doesn't make much sense. It would make more sense if the tiered systems had some flexibility to it, where, hey, if you are a tier A meet, you have to have certain qualities when it comes to that meet. One, it's got to be able to be broadcasted worldwide. If you're a tier A meet, everyone in the world has to be able to see that. That's my opinion. You can't be a tier A meet if it's geo-locked to, just Europe with the Euro Championships, the Commonwealth Games, or if you're streaming on just some YouTube channel, if you're NACAC. Like, you need to have a major broadcast if you're going to be a tier A meet, because you're saying you're the best of the best, you have to have that. I would also say that in order to be considered a tier A meet, each of your events have to have a certain amount of athletes that are in that tier A tier. You can't just have this be an elite meet and then you have a whole bunch of people that are subpar professional athletes, because that doesn't make any sense, because then the meet might be tier A, but your actual meet is not. So in order to reach these standards, maybe it's like, hey, to be a tier A meet, you have to have at least 3 athletes that are in the top 10 or the top 20 of your meet to be considered a tier A. And then tier B, maybe it's you have to have at least 3 athletes in the top 25, or then D, top 50, whatever it might be for each event. You have to have something so there can be some checks and balances, because then otherwise these rankings mean nothing. And so we need to have something that does this to make it so we're getting some actually quality competitions and these rankings mean something. Because if you don't have this quality control, then the rankings mean nothing. The tier list doesn't have any meaning towards it. The NCAA championship, I believe, is a C-tiered meet. Even though it is one of the best competitions in the entire world, it is a C-tiered meet. And so these college athletes, they're not able to run in these diamond leagues. They're not able to run these pro meets. So they have to qualify based off standard, because they're not going to get in on world ranking. It's next to impossible to get in based off world ranking if you're a college athlete, because you're just not able to compete enough. And so this is really leaning towards a professional mindset of, hey, we want to have more pros qualifying here. And so we're gonna start to see more college athletes get waned out of being able to compete in the World Championship, which means that I think that's gonna have a negative effect on the NCAA. Like I said, I'm an NCAA track and field fan. I think college track and field is the most exciting version of track and field. But it stinks because now I think we're gonna start seeing college athletes transitioning to the professional model quicker than they probably should, because they want to be able to get the money from the World Championship, because it's going to be next to impossible to get on that world ranking. And so if these athletes recognize that, they might move over to the pros a little bit quicker than they probably should, because you want to be able to qualify for the World Championships, because at the NCAA level, unless you hit the standard, it's just not going to happen. It's not just going to cut these fields completely. A lot of people are thinking, oh, there's no one that's going to qualify for the World Championship because these standards are so high. No, that's not the case. They have people qualifying on world standards, and people will do it. And we'll see how this changes and if this is a good idea in the future.
It's crazy to think, but summer is finally over. If you don't want to be looking crazy on your first day back to school or on your first day back to fall training, the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped, has you covered. Manscaped just sent me their brand new performance package, which comes with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. Look, I've tried a lot of razors in my day, but the Lawnmower 4.0 is just different. Its ceramic blade helps reduce grooming accidents, LED light allows you to shave anytime, anywhere, and since it's waterproof, you can even take it in the shower if you want. You know what they say, look good, feel good, run good. If you want to show up to fall training and dominate like a beast, make sure you use code TWN at checkout when shopping with Manscaped and have an awesome fall training. We'll see you there.
Next story, I gotta break out my Philadelphia Eagles shirt because we had another proof that track speed is just better than football speed. So Devon Allen, as everybody knows, the hurdler who's made 2 Olympics, multiple world championships, national titles, caught his very first touchdown for the Philadelphia Eagles. He caught a 55-yard touchdown from Reed Sinnett, which was taking it off the top. He was like a post route, and it was a really clean catch. He burned both the defenders that were supposed to be covering him, and then he celebrated with a hurdle touchdown celebration, which was just really, really cool and exciting to see. One, as an Eagles fan, and two, as a Devon Allen fan, it's nice to see these worlds collide, and it was a nice route. Now, obviously, there are still a lot of things that you need to work on to become an NFL wide receiver. It's not just about your speed, it's about route running, it's about knowing what routes you're going to be doing, it's about catching, it's all that stuff. But to see this is great news. It was the game-winning touchdown. It put them ahead 21-20 versus the Cleveland Browns, and I'm feeling better about him, man. I mean, there was a little weariness of like, hey, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make this for a little bit, but after seeing this touchdown, it's just reaffirming like, no, he should have a spot here. He should be good to go, and it's awesome to see. And like I said, once again, it's just showing the difference in track speed and football speed. It's like the guys he's going up against, they got speed. They have football speed. But this is a different level of athlete, man. He's an Olympic athlete. He's an Olympic sprinter. He's running 12.84 in the 110 hurdles. These are things that I bet you these athletes that he would be going up against, I bet you they can't run 12.84 flat, let alone over hurdles. So he's proving that we can see a crossover. And once again, it also shows the other side that I bet you there are so many Olympic level athletes that are on the NFL, that are playing in the NFL right now, that aren't running track and field just because of the way that the pay structure is. But I felt really happy seeing that, and one, hoping that he has a very successful and long career with the Philadelphia Eagles, and two, I'm hoping that it just gives more broadcasts and more attention to the sport of track and field. I think more people kind of are hearing about it and knowing about it because of what Devon Allen is doing. If he makes a 53-man roster, if he can make a couple plays throughout the year, we should be getting even more attention than we are, and probably at least a little bit closer to what we should be having. Next thing that I want to cover here are going to be these regional-esque championships that we've been having. So NACAC, so North American, Central American Athletics Championship, the Euro Championship, and the Commonwealth Games. So I'm not going to really be talking too much about the actual performances, because this isn't about the actual performances. This is about the timing and just the overall experience of what these championships are. The importance for majority of the fans for these three championships were completely diminished just based off of the timing and when they're happening. It doesn't make sense at all. It's like, imagine if for basketball we had the conference championship, so determining who's the best in the East Coast and who's the best in the West Coast. We did that after the NBA Finals. It would be like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why would we do that? Well, that's what they're doing. Like, we're having it be where we're determining who is the best in Europe, who's the best in North America, who's the best in the Commonwealth, after we've already determined who the best in the world is. So what's the point of these championships? They mean nothing. This would have been a lot more exciting if these were happening before the World Championships. And we already have had, NACAC, Euros, and Commonwealth. We've already had those, right? Well, then you can take a look at, okay, who is the European champion? Oh, the person that won Commonwealth didn't win Euros, or the person that won the Euro Championship didn't win Commonwealth, and now they're going into the Worlds. Like, how is this gonna play out into who's gonna be the best in the world? And so then there's all of these storylines, because you have these championships that have already happened going into what is the major world championship. And so it makes it even more exciting. But now it's like, this means nothing. Like, you don't have any, like, top tier athletes aren't all competing in these championships. Like, you have athletes that are the world champions that are not competing in these things, especially NACAC. Like, there are like almost no names of note are competing in these. I think that many of the notable names that competed in these did because they realized that they just updated the world rankings and making it so, okay, you can't just qualify based off standard now, you can qualify on world rankings, and NACAC is gonna be a big, like, tiered meet, and so, like, let me qualify or let me win here so that can go towards my world ranking and boost my thing for next year. And so I think that's what a lot more of these athletes are doing, And but the quality was is just not there. Just the timing of it makes no sense. And personally, for the NACAC, like I'm saying, it was streamed on some YouTube channel. Like, and it just, the quality of the meet. I'm not talking about the athletes. I think the quality of the athletes is fine. Like, obviously, not as many of the top tiered athletes were there because it's after Worlds, and it's like, why would I want to do this? But just the quality. It's like I said, streamed on some guy's YouTube channel. Like, it wasn't on. You couldn't get it on Peacock or on NBC or anything like that. So it's like, if you don't care about it, why should I? You know, like, it wasn't exciting. I didn't watch a single really event from it. I watched my friend compete, Allie Wilson, came in second in the women's 800. Really excited for her. Other than that, it's like I didn't watch really any of these competitions because it's just like, one, you can't watch Euros or Commonwealth if you're here in the United States. And the other one's like, it just wasn't a quality competition. So overall, I'd say we got to change some stuff in track and field, and it comes with the scheduling. Like, make the storylines make sense, because the storyline of these 3 meets could have been so much better. Like, the storylines could have been so much more important if they happened at the right time, but they didn't. They happened at the wrong time. They're happening at a time that it doesn't mean anything. Like, you need to have these going into the major championship, not after, and it means nothing now because you're losing all of the interest there. So just move the meets, have it at the right time, and it's going to be an exciting meet. Looking forward, we have some Diamond Leagues coming up. I think La Swain on the 26th, and then we have one on the 2nd in September, and then we have one coming up on the like Brussels or Zurich, sorry, which is the final. So we got some exciting Diamond Leagues that should be coming up. I know Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price is running, Sha'Carri Richardson's making her return, and so we're going to be having a lot of cool meets that are coming up. But like I said, I wish this was before the World Championships, because then it could mean a whole lot more going into the Worlds. But what can you do? So that's going to be it for this episode of Track World News. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know that you're enjoying everything that's going on. That's going to do it from us here. Have a good one. Peace.